So I am continuing with a series of recorded talks about a variety of topics that relate to awakening to your true nature, awakening to our true nature. The topic that I would like to talk about today is titled Notice the Borderless Quality of Awareness. So usually we look out onto the world. We look out onto events, shapes, forms, people, relationships, activities, and we use the senses for that purpose, and our experience is a worldly experience. In other words, we're experiencing the world from a subject-object relationship. So we are like standing apart from what we're perceiving, and we're busy with the world, trying to understand it, trying to figure it out, and trying to find our happiness in the world. So noticing the borderless quality of awareness is a shift in focus. Rather than looking out on the world objectively, we shift our attention to the reality of our experience being the awareness, the consciousness that perceives. I refer to that as the elephant in the room. We somehow overlook the aware presence that perceives the reality of our experience. So our experience first of all is an experience of consciousness. Everything that we perceive through consciousness. If it isn't for consciousness, there would be no objective world. So what we refer to as objective world is actually the experience of consciousness taken on that form. The experience of presence, of beingness taken on the form of this perception, taken on the form of this thought, taken on the form of this feeling, of this sensation. That is primarily our experience. The mind is the worldly phenomenal events that's made out of thoughts, perceptions, and sensations. And the mind's reality is what knows it, the source of it, and the experience of it, which is consciousness. Consciousness conceives the world, conceives the mind, creates it, and experiences it, perceives it. You may wonder, what are you talking about when you refer to consciousness? This question might arise. It's a mind question, because the mind is so used to the senses, to perceiving through the senses, that it wants some path, some method, some means by which to perceive, know, discover, experience consciousness. But in this case, what we're talking about is pre-mind, before the mind. So the mind is actually an object from the point of view of consciousness, the mind is a perceived. It's as if the light of consciousness shines onto the mind, or reverberates in a certain frequency, and the mind appears. So the mind is an appearance that arises out of consciousness, and when the mind requests or asks or insists for a method or a means by which to know consciousness, it falls short. It does not get a means or a method or a way by which to know consciousness, because consciousness is known directly via consciousness. It is via consciousness that you know consciousness. And one of the simplest way to know consciousness is by, or to bring your attention, to turn your attention towards consciousness, is by asking yourself the question, am I conscious right now? And how do I know that I am conscious right now? You know you're conscious right now because you are conscious right now. You are the question, am I conscious right now? And you are the answer, yes, I am conscious right now. So it's a question that comes from consciousness, and the answer is consciousness itself. You know you are conscious right now because you are conscious. So the experience of consciousness is not an experience that is known through the senses. It's not a mind experience. It's not a worldly experience. It's not a phenomenal experience. The experience of consciousness is beyond all of that. It is that perceives and experiences all experiences. And you know it as you are it. You know it by being it, which you are. You don't need to do anything for awareness to be. Awareness is the reality of this moment, this very instant, as you are perceiving this perception. It is via consciousness that you're perceiving this perception. So once you come to that realization that the reality of your experience is consciousness, and you start noticing that everything that you perceive, everything that you know, everything that you experience it via consciousness, through consciousness, that establishes itself as a primary, as the forefront of your experience, and not the background of your experience. The background of your experience is sort of the world, it's the weather keeps changing, and the day keeps changing, thoughts keeps changing, perceptions keep changing. It's all okay. I say it's the background rather than the foreground, but I don't really mean it in sort of like a physical sense, in a distant sense. I mean that in the sense that consciousness becomes, there is an awareness of the reality of consciousness, and that all experiences are modulations, they're vibrations, energetic manifestation, energetic vibrations of consciousness, like heat in the desert. When it hits the desert sand, it appears as a mirage, it appears as an oasis, or as a distant city. So once there is an understanding that consciousness is the reality of everything that is being experienced, and is the only reality. Maybe we can talk in another video about reality being only one, but for right now, we know there is only one reality. We know it deeply within ourselves. And also, if there were more than one reality, if there were two realities, then what would know that there are two realities? Something has to know that there are two realities, has to know reality A and reality B. And whatever it is that knows reality A and reality B is one, is that one reality. So the reality of consciousness is one reality. And in your contemplation of the experience of consciousness, and you can do that directly by turning your attention to, not to the object that you're perceiving, but to the perceiving, the field of perception, if you want to use that term. You will notice that awareness or consciousness, I use those terms interchangeably, is borderless. That there is no specific place where it starts and no specific place that it ends. So the experience of consciousness is a non-worldly, non-phenomenal experience of borderlessness. Borderless in space. There is no space where it starts. It doesn't start here and end there. It's borderless in space, and it's borderless in time. It doesn't start an hour ago and ends 5 minutes from now. It's not in time. Actually, the whole experience of time as thought and as sensation, feeling the pressure of time or the experience of time as a bodily sensation arise in consciousness, in awareness. They arise out of awareness. Awareness is not in time or in space, it's the other way around. So you will notice that the experience of consciousness, and again you can notice that by looking directly at the field of perception, at that hears these words right now. You turn your attention to that, and you will notice that it's a borderless presence. Presence meaning that I am, you are. This very moment, if you ask yourself, am I? Just am I? Question mark. You will answer yes, I am. Whatever that is, not I am an engineer, a man, a woman, a father, a mother, not just the I am. There is, whatever that is, there is an undeniable amness, beingness, which is the I am. Not I as a body mind, not as an identity, not as a specific person. That comes after. Memory says, oh well, yeah, I'm American, I'm Chinese, I'm from Costa Rica, whatever. I'm an engineer, I'm a father, I'm a bus driver. All of that comes after. But just the question I am I? And the answer is yes. Whatever that is, there is a presence. So, coming back to the question of the experience of consciousness, the experience of consciousness is a non-worldly, non-phenomenal experience of borderless presence. Aware borderless presence. Aware in that you know you're perceiving, you know your experience. So there is awareness. It's a borderless, aware presence. And when we say borderless, we're saying it's not personal, because the person has borders. while awareness is borderless, meaning non-personal. Non-personal means universal. There are no boundaries to it. There's no place where my awareness ends and your awareness starts. My consciousness ends and your consciousness starts. There's no such experience. There might be a thought that says that. There might be a feeling that feels, oh, I feel like my consciousness ends here and your consciousness ends there. But from the experience of consciousness, there is no such evidence. There is no evidence that consciousness has any limitations and therefore is personal. But above all, the experience of consciousness is not simply a mental understanding. Once you come to the deep understanding of the reality of consciousness that transcends the mind, you will come onto peace, a deep stillness, a deep silence that is causelessly and effortlessly peaceful, tranquil, undisturbed, free, and deeply content. Not content with anything, but just contentment and peace and happiness itself. You come to the core of existence, which is the experience of the reality of consciousness, that is peace and happiness. The experience of peace and happiness is the culminating point of the awakening. Thank you for your presence.